Hey everyone, just wanted to give a disclaimer before the episode. It's recently come out that one of the people we discuss in this episode, Andrew Callaghan, who we've discussed in previous episodes as well, has been shown to be a sexual harasser, and numerous instances of assault and harassment have come out in the last couple weeks. We don't condone or support this behavior or Andrew. And when we recorded this episode, it was before we were aware of these allegations. And so we just wanted to share our standing on this issue. Sorry for the inconvenience. And back to the episode, I guess.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Welcome to Hawthorne. I'm Julian Slowick, and tonight it'll be our pleasure to feed you.
I mean, I've listened to them. They seem like they're very well, like, it seems like we're in the same room, you know, so.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool how that works.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll have to edit all this out, by the way, but,
technology.
you know, just making your job harder.
We'll leave it in. It makes us seem more
genuine.
Relatable.
Yeah, relatable. It almost makes us seem like we're cousins or something, you know.
Whoa, dude, like we're related or something. That's pretty crazy. Like I can't believe I met you I posted that ad on Craigslist, like who wants to be a podcast host, and you guys in Chicago. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Me and Madison, you in Chicago. Yeah. We never met before.
Hey, Nkosi?
Yeah, what's up?
This is no, I can't remember his name. I was gonna say this is what's his name? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You didn't even get the joke out.
I know because I couldn't remember the guy's name.
No. The moment of truth.
Oh, wait, okay. So, talk about like what is this guy? What does he do or whatever? That maybe I'll know.
You know from Toast of
Oh, Matt Berry.
Yeah. What's the guy's name again?
Oh, Quim Fandango, right? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, speaking of, they have apparently another series called Toast of Tinseltown. It just came out, I think, this year.
Oh, okay.
Or something, or last year. It's on Amazon Plus too.
All right.
Or Amazon Prime. I was trying to access it. I need the login again.
Okay.
The password. It keeps saying the password's wrong.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Trying to lock me out.
No,
huh?
no. Why did it change? It should have been the same.
You're asking me, man.
Okay.
It's not
Okay,
my
well,
account.
I'll get it to you when I go home.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this went a bit longer than I expected, but welcome back to the Blue Room. New episode, new year. First episode of 2023. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Excited to be back.
Wow.
You know, a lot has changed. A lot is different, you know, in this new year. This new
Exactly.
yeah, rotation of the earth or revolution around the sun.
Yep.
I am now 25. My brain is fully developed, so expect my commentary to be a lot more solidified.
Yeah, that's right, dude. We're both over that age.
Yeah,
We're
officially
now
adults.
Officially.
401ks, a wife and kids.
Yeah.
I just bought a house. Yeah.
The yard.
Mm-hmm.
Dog, dude. I did get a robe for Christmas, so I mean, I can just sit in there with my the fireplace.
Mhm.
Make myself. I got a cocktail maker.
Yes.
My neighbor or my friend gave me this. I've been making it. I can make a cocktail. Got some bourbon, dude.
Not bad.
Whip
Yeah.
that up.
I spend my
You have a
mornings.
pipe now? You can be like Hugh Hefner.
You should get a sailor's hat while you're at it.
Yeah, I don't have a boat. I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, I have a kayak. I'm just good out there.
No, I mean for the you have the robe, the sailor's hat, the
No,
pipe.
Hugh Hefner thing.
Yeah.
No, I got you. I got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the next thing.
Mhm.
Next on the list. Next Christmas. My birthday.
Okay.
Put that on the list.
All right, definitely.
Thanks, man.
Definitely.
All right.
Put that on the list.
Wow.
We'll get you a new robe with the bunny ears on it, too.
Oh boy. Well, so it's been a while since I think all three of us recorded. Last time it was me and Dad or I'm sorry, Michael Evans. So I use your professional voiceover name, or do you want me to? Can I call you Dad?
You can call me Dad.
Should we have street names? Is it okay that we use our real names?
That's a good point.
What is that thing they were
It's
doing?
like
where
an act,
people
like, you know,
were,
like
doing the apps where they give themselves porno names or something.
Oh
like
my god!
I was gonna say like industry names.
Industry
you know, like
name.
remember in Barry how they were just like, yeah, your actor's name, and you'd make up like a name for your actor. So it makes it sound like we're in the
biz.
we're a part of the Hollywood whatever that word is, group.
Okay.
Okay.
There it is. I mean, I got to think on that. Next episode.
Yeah,
Alright.
next episode we'll have code names.
I'll change
But for now, we'll use our real names.
Yeah, I'm in Kosi Evans.
Michael Evans.
Guilt and Cross.
All right, and let's talk about where we've been. How about you start off, Michael?
Oh.
Or is that?
Well, you know,
if you want.
You know how like every, well, at least a couple times a week, I usually go to a neighbor's, and you know, about 2:00 or so in the afternoon, we go down the street to have a beer or something like that together, neighborhood pub. Well, I went down there, knocked on the door, and the neighbor. I hear him inside there, but doesn't answer the door. Yeah, wonder what's going on. And so I guess he was ignored. I figured, well, maybe he's a little busy. He'll come and meet me down there. Get down there, they ask me, hey, where's so and so? I said, well, he'll be along shortly. Is you guys having a row or argument or something? I said, no, everything's fine. We're doing good, So eventually, I go back around to his house. He's gone now. There's nothing coming from inside. I go back down the street here, and he's there. So, I go up to him and say, hey, what's the deal? What's going on? He says, well, I'm not your friend anymore. I don't like you. I said, what? What did I do? You didn't do anything. I just don't want to be around you anymore. Bug off. Pretty hurt my feelings, man. Still trying to get over that.
Oh my goodness,
Wow.
That's awful. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's always hard losing a friend. I mean, especially when they just don't want to hang out with you for whatever, like a shift in personality.
Said I was boring.
Oh, the nerve.
That's not true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know what his problem is.
Maybe
man.
since I
I'm sorry to
retired,
hear
I
that.
just don't have anything to talk about. I guess.
Talk about how
The
I bet
podcast?
he's probably gonna be jealous about that.
Oh my goodness.
That
Possibly.
you're over here making deals and connections. And, you're a pretty big name. Like I mean, I went through our like how Spotify does those end of the year like rap things.
Yeah.
They did that for the podcast, and apparently we were like had some pretty. I have to find the stats again, but we did pretty good last year.
Oh.
I think we were like number 2 for this type of content or something. Maybe not number 2, but definitely high up there.
Okay.
Apparently.
Yeah. Top 5.
I found that. Yeah, I found it kind of hard to believe. They're like, yeah, you guys released a lot of episodes. I'm like, really? You guys were one of the most consistent. I'm like, that's
Wow.
that's funny. I mean, maybe of like small time, sure, but I kind of.
Yeah, what's everybody else doing? I wonder.
Man, I mean, they're slacking. I guess. Give us that.
Man.
Give us that deal, money deals.
Right. Oh my
Like
goodness.
strutting up on the stage, just accept our prize right now. Man.
Oh.
You hear that, Joe Rogan?
We're coming for you, Joe.
Coming for you, Joe.
Man. Yeah, speaking of retired, there's this guy in my job, he retired a couple months ago, between this session and the last session. And me and him, it was the retirement happy hour. Everyone told him how important he was, but we were just sitting down having a drink, and he's just telling me about his times back in the day, and he's a really old guy, and he was just telling me about some of his experiences. Really old. I think he fought in I can't remember what war it was, but He just told me this time he was on the beach and he was just really, really struggling to get off of this beach. They were just struggling to get him home. And it was just a whole ordeal. He eventually got off on a Dutch fishing ship, I believe. I don't really remember all he was saying. But it was just such a crazy, crazy ordeal. Eventually, he did get home on a civilian boat. And that's all he wanted to share with me. But it's so incredible because I feel like so rarely do you hear about something like this happening from a, individual's perspective. Really cool guy. Yeah, I'm glad he's, good and retired. But I mean, just, wow. Yeah.
That's a story,
man. Glad he made it back.
Yeah, I mean, we all are. We're glad they all made it back. But
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
Right. And speaking of struggling to make it back home, I had a similar issue of trying to get back to Madison also.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if I told people there that I met up with when I was in Chicago, but the reason I stayed 2 weeks and then had to go back, even though the break is longer, is because we were doing this expedition trip to this new place, and they were, they needed like a botanist, and so they had asked me to be a part of this trip. So we were out here for a good couple of weeks, and everything, and all of a sudden this storm happened. And we were trying to make it back. I guess I had gotten separated somehow from the rest of the crew, and they managed to get back, and I was still stuck there. And using my knowledge of plants, I was able to pretty much survive and be able to grow food as they struggled to figure out how they're going to rescue me and everything. But they managed to do it, thankfully, because at the end there, it was pretty... It was cutting it pretty close, man. I don't know how long I would have lasted out there.
Wow.
But
yeah, I'm glad you. I didn't think you talk about it here, but we're just we moved heaven and earth to get you back, man. It was such an ordeal.
Dude, it was great. It was great being back. It was great talking to you guys again, obviously.
Yeah.
And now we're here recording the podcast again.
That?
Like nothing happened.
Yeah, I bet you'll never want to eat a potato again.
Exactly. I'm starched out from that. Maybe sweet potatoes, but definitely, regular potatoes. I can leave them.
Mm.
But hopefully, you, our listeners, had more of a less eventful couple weeks or month, and hopefully, you had a good holidays.
I'm sure they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and clearly, there's a lot of cool things that we've seen. I think we just last time I was down in Chicago, I think when we were all together, we saw a movie that came out last year. It's
last year.
The Menu.
Right, The Menu.
I don't know how it missed me. It was such a good film.
I know. It's weird. When I got to Madison, I've noticed a lot of people also kind of had that. I guess they've seen it recently too.
Really?
Because they were also like, a lot of my friends were saying, "Oh man, have you seen The Menu?" And a lot of them, some of them were saying yes, they had, and some were saying that they hadn't seen it yet. And I was just like, "Yeah, I saw it. You guys got to see it." For anyone that hasn't seen it yet, it's directed by Mark Mylod.
Yeah,
is that how you pronounce the last name?
Mylod,
yeah, he did. He's worked on Succession, Game of Thrones, Shameless.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so he has a couple big names under his belt.
And if you haven't seen it yet, think of the big themes in all of those. Like, what is the creator trying to tell you about the real world? And right. You might get the premise of the movie before you see it, but think real hard about that.
Right.
Wow.
And stars Ralph Fiennes, who
it's pronounced Ray Fiennes.
Fiennes. I'm sorry.
Ray Fiennes.
Didn't you study French in Costa Rica?
Well, no, he's not
Fiennes.
French. He's British.
Oh,
it's British.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's all right, dude. Nobody cares. I'm sorry.
Little country the size of Idaho. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now you guys just have what, like fish and chips? That's all you got. Sorry to all our British listeners out there.
My God.
But, I mean, what are you gonna do? Cross the pond and fight us? That didn't work the last time. What need I remind you?
No, because
about,
it did work the last time. They
1776?
burnt down the White House.
Yeah, and look at them now. Who has the bigger economy? That's what I thought. Wipe them out. I'm sorry
I feel like
for all my British friends.
I feel like part of the reason that so many people saw it so recently may have been because it was suddenly on HBO. Yeah, because
that is true.
I feel like fewer and fewer people. I could be wrong. I don't have the statistics in front of me. I do have a computer, but I'm not going to look it up right now. But just the amount of people that go into theaters.
Yeah.
I wonder what those numbers look like. Because a lot of people I know will either wait or hope that it shows up on a streaming platform, or they may not see it at all. And I don't know if that's whether just the juice isn't worth the squeeze money-wise, or just there's nothing that interesting worth going out and spending time seeing. It's a whole discussion I know that happens in the industry.
Yeah, that would be fun. I mean, that would be a great topic to talk about. I think we want to talk about that at some point. Cause
of course, yeah.
How streaming's affecting that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think also that's a good point, and especially with it being the holidays, you can just kind of sit down and watch this with family, friends.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the theater and do it. So it makes it a bit easier, especially if you're trapped in whatever city because Southwest messed up your bags and the fights. Just put this on your laptop and there you go. But yeah, it stars Ralph. Well, how do you put it?
Ralph Fiennes.
Fiennes. That's how I'm pretty sure that's how I said it the last time. I thought I did. And also Anya Taylor-Joy and
Nicholas Hoult.
It's a really great.
Yes,
Nicholas
that's
Hoult.
his name.
John Leguizamo. What's the Asian actress? Her name is
Hong
Cho.
Cho.
Cho. She's been in a lot of stuff recently.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really stellar cast, and pretty much it's because you guys had seen it. You and Mom had seen it.
We had just gone to the theater to see it. Weren't aware that it was on HBO Max, and we decided to get out and go up to theater and catch it. Well, we were kind of having a debate whether we were going to see Babylon or that. Your mother wanted to see The Menu. I wanted to see Babylon, but when we got there, I said, you know what? I'll go see The Menu with her.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed it.
I think you made a better choice.
Yeah.
Have you seen Babylon and Kosi?
No, I haven't. I've heard
very
mixed
reviews.
Interesting.
Mixed leading to
yeah.
But I mean, I might check it out. But I'm glad we saw The Menu. But yeah, it's a really great film. The cast pretty much meets up, or most of them are these really high name people in the movie. That's the characters they're playing, and they meet up at this island that's supposed to be one of the world's top restaurants.
I forget the name of the restaurant.
Yeah,
I do too, actually.
But it's
wow, that's like a big part.
Does
of
it
the
mention the name?
It's a big part of the plot.
Yeah,
they mentioned it quite a bit.
Yeah, we don't even remember.
They did
it.
mention the name.
Whenever they,
I just can't remember.
How dare us? Wow.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like to look up the name at some point. But yeah, they get here, and you can already tell, I think, from that something's gonna happen. It's a pretty good movie about analyzing, class,
yeah, social satire. Well, you're paying $1,250 for a meal.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's the funny thing. I think one of the last times me and back in October, I think when me and Gilton were talking when I was back in Chicago about just like how, you have these restaurants sometimes in downtown that pay.
We were talking about that, yeah.
And how the portions you get are very small compared to how much you actually have to pay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to like some place where you can just, it's a cheaper restaurant, but you get an actual full meal.
Yeah.
But then also, but I think it's kind of it's funny that kind of makes fun of that in the movie too, or does make fun of that in the movie.
Yes, it does.
Like the first dish, it's just like all artistic creation, and it's just there's very little food on
Right.
it, and everyone's just like, "Oh wow, this is amazing." And then Anya Taylor-Joy's character Margot, she's like, "Well, what's the big deal about this?"
Or a bread dish with no bread.
Yeah, that's what I think. The minute I saw, the cast was like, "Okay, these are all supposed to be wealthy people," I felt it was gonna go in that direction. And then when he mentioned, like bread is it was historically a dish that was served with the common people, but you guys aren't common, so you don't get that. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good, dude. I knew this is gonna be
At that point, it's like he can only escalate. He can only go up. There's no way he just turns around and
exactly.
it's like, oh, by the way, here's the best meal of your lives. Here's a great experience. It's like, no, you guys are. It's just gonna get worse.
Well, not for the
Right.
one character. He was just digging everything.
Oh, the exception
was
that proves the rule.
Yeah, he's taking pictures.
Right.
On
Well, he knew what was going to happen.
he knew what was going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but he was just so into the chef and the whole deal.
Wow. What a guy.
And then when he ripped him a new one, too, he was just like, "Yeah, you think you're all this, but you're not.
Right.
You're the worst." Of
Oh
us."
yeah.
It was great seeing him get knocked down a lot. Of
A lot of
Mhm.
pegs. Yes.
One thing.
Actually, getting the chair knocked from under his feet.
Yeah.
He showed it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, you were gonna say something, Gilden?
I was gonna say, okay, so early on, I think there was like a wink to Chef's Table, the show on Netflix. It's like they focus on like a different chef in a different region of the world in every episode, and they have this scene where it's like the chef is talking about some dish they're making, and they and they have this really nice filter on like the dish. And like the wording in the corner, like what it is and what's in it.
Oh, and they did that.
Yes.
Yeah, they did that.
And they did that throughout the menu, and I was just like, "Oh, I know exactly what they're getting at right now. Like they're really."
I didn't know that was a reference to.
Oh,
that.
I mean, it's probably like I think that might be a more widespread. Actually, that's the first time I saw it done, and this is probably the second time.
Okay.
So I feel like it has to be
cool.
pretty direct. And also, the producers are Adam McKay and Will Ferrell. So I think they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were poking fun at this. Like,
Will Ferrell's name was on the producer?
Yeah, he's one of the producers.
I know I saw Adam McKay. I
Mhm.
wasn't aware of
Yeah.
Will Ferrell.
he was also one of the producers for Succession.
I know Adam McKay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've been putting out a lot of very class oriented.
Last year was Don't Look Up.
Yes.
Which
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of people hated, but some people like. I
Mhm.
liked it.
Exactly.
That was interesting.
It was good. I don't know if I'd watch it again, but
Right.
I enjoyed the first time I
Yeah.
watched it.
Yeah, I don't think I
Yeah.
can watch it again just because it took a lot out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was very good. I mean, I think me and Dad, we talked
Right.
about this when we did the
Sure.
episode right after watching it. That a lot of people were kind of comparing it to Doctor Strangelove because it also had that type of satirical look at
right.
the
The
world
end of the world.
and
Mhm.
using nuclear weapons,
Yeah.
obviously, instead of
Right.
a meteor. But still, I think it fits then, and it still fits now.
Mhm.
That type of set. Some people were just like, "Oh, it's too on the nose," and just like, "Okay, well, look where we're
Exactly.
at now." Sometimes you kind of need that on
Reality
the
is too on the
nose type
nose.
of approach.
Yeah.
You know,
I could hear that. I could see that.
and that's not to say that if done, that not on the nose isn't good or effective, but sometimes it's just it's necessary to, I think, get the point across to everyone.
Sure.
Yeah, but there's also the criticism that there wasn't a lot new being done. Like what was the substance in the film that was different from what is I don't know. For us, it's like a common belief. It's like, of course, we know this already, but I understand there's probably a subsect of people who watched it and felt didn't feel that maybe because maybe this wasn't like a, I don't know, common knowledge. But I felt like a lot of the circles I was in, it was just kind of like, yeah, big deal. Like, we know this already. This isn't very like revolutionary in storytelling, or I should say subject matter. You know, I don't know if you felt similarly in Kosi, or you see what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I definitely see. That's not necessarily new, but yeah, I don't know if I had that experience. I mean, I can understand it, but I don't. At least
I liked it. You know.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, even if it wasn't new, I don't think. Well, a lot of the people I talked to that they enjoyed it as well. But that's just
Right.
me. But yeah.
So, what were some of your favorite moments of the menu?
Well, for me, I think I mean, there's a lot in there. One of my favorites, I think, was when.
Spoiler alert, by the way. You know.
Oh yeah, I'll put up a disclaimer on the episode. Spoilers, but I think when I'll try to keep it less. I'll try to keep it more vague,
Sure.
just so that you guys understand it. But it was when she confronted him. You know, when she at the very closer to the end of the movie, when Margot kind of like talks to him and gets him to make the one dish that obviously that's how he pretty much got his start, and that's how they relate pretty much.
Right.
And it's interesting because you see before, like, this is how he started. That dish was pretty much how he started as a cook, and that's when he was the happiest.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the images you see after that is always just him without any joy for cooking.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but you're right. As he rises in the social and culinary circles, he kind of. Well, in fact, at one point he says, he cooks for people who don't enjoy something. I can't exactly.
Well, yeah, I think,
but he doesn't. He doesn't enjoy
also
what he makes for people anymore.
Yeah,
and I think that's also one of the reasons he has the critic there, because if you see, she's people that kind of elevated him.
Exactly.
So
he says
it's pretty much her. Well, it's her fault that she pretty much caused this to happen for him, at least.
Well, I guess one of my favorite scenes, which isn't a spoiler, when he tells John. Well, I guess I won't exactly reveal it, but when he tells John Leguizamo the reason why he is there for this major feast.
I want to know how they pitched it to him. Like, you're going to be in this movie. Here's your motivation. Like, here's what your character is going to be. Like, here's what's going to happen. Like, he had to have just, like, laughed his ass off, you know?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. I feel like when there's a particular scene in the movie, I won't say when, but it's when you find out the gun isn't a gun. That one got me. I think I almost fell out of my chair. It was
that whole build up in that.
Oh my goodness!
Right,
man,
the tension.
Yes,
and then just to have that
when you find out, and because there's a couple guns in here, so be careful. But when you find out the gun isn't a gun, it's you'll know when you see it. That's definitely my favorite scene.
Cool.
Yeah. No, yeah. Definitely go check that out. It's on HBO Max.
It's still in theaters too.
It is,
and still in theaters.
Honestly, I wish we saw that in theaters. It was definitely worth the ticket.
Right.
It's definitely one of the movies like I would have liked to see. Like, there wasn't a lot of like crazy action, but it's something that I would have loved to see, like the audience's reactions, especially at the 400 down the street from us. Like, it's a crowd of like usually college students. You get a ton of like very visceral reactions to interesting comments and scenes. It's like, the Hateful Eight.
Shout out to the 400.
I'm so glad I saw the Hateful Eight with my friends in a theater. It just added to the experience. We're all seeing it for the first time. The Menu is one of those movies. So
cool.
At least watch it with your friends. If you can't go to the theater, watch it with somebody else.
Watch it with a group of people. It's definitely one of those movies that I would list as also like watch it with other people too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe we should do like a movie night or something one of these days. Like just invite some friends over to like talk about them. We'll pick like a movie, or even better, we'll just like pick a movie for like a month or something and be like, all right, guys, we're gonna talk about this at the end of the month, and you guys watch it and we'll analyze it, and you can send us your comments about it or something like that.
Yeah, this is our like, I don't know, like that was our summers, growing up, just
Dude,
watch a movie
at the 400. Also,
Oh, yeah.
That and the one in Evanston, like those two were the biggest
Century.
ones. Shout out to the 400, man. Like that was
Century now,
yeah.
the AMC 12.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
AMC 12.
So we finally have you guys finally have a theater. They opened the AMC down by you, but then closed the AMC that was closest to me up in Madison.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Ward did it.
So is this other movie that you and Gilton suggest, the Andrew Callaghan movie?
Man.
Oh,
This
yes.
Place Rules.
Speaking of the talking about social
Right? Yeah, this episode is just
on that same train of like social issues in America. What better movie to talk about than also on HBO Max right now? This Place Rules.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Did you get a chance to see it, Uncle Michael?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What did you think? I want to hear what you thought.
I'm still kind of putting my thoughts together, but there's some crazy people out there, man. There's some, I was just talking about this with Patricia, your mom, and Kosi.
Mm-hmm.
Who the family that was really deep into the QAnon thing, and the kid came across as probably the most after everything passed, and the kid just said it was just lies.
Mm-hmm.
It was just lies. They lied to him, and he was really sorry for his dad because his dad was so wholly into this.
Mm-hmm.
He said his dad would just be outside, just like. I can't remember exactly, but essentially just lost. He's
no purpose.
He's unmoored, because none of the stuff that Q talked about happened. It's like,
and I think that's exactly what. Well, let's wind the clock back and then talk about This Place Rules to give it to
context.
For the context for our listeners. So, This Place Rules is a documentary by Andrew Callaghan that pretty much is, in his words, what he saw leading up to the January 6th riots. And I mean, if you're not familiar with Andrew Callaghan, I think we mentioned him on one of the episodes a while back. We did. He does a YouTube channel called Channel 5 where he goes out and pretty much interviews different
It's like different
I was surprised
people.
He had so much access to some of these people, man.
Oh, he's so well plugged into this crazy network because I don't know. The thing is, he just goes to places and he just listens.
Well, not just listens, but they give him access. Look at what's his name?
Well, yeah, because I think it's the
Alex
fact
Jones.
that he goes
Alex
in there
Jones, the Proud Boy guys.
Wow.
That one really weird guy who was going on and on about the child molesters. It turns out he's a child molester at the end.
Yeah.
I was looking at his posts on Instagram, and someone had asked him in a Q&A. They were like, "Hey, was there any point in making this where you felt afraid for your life?" And he's like, "When I was sitting across from the guy who ended up being a registered sex offender, he's like, I knew the guy had a 45 on him."
Right.
And it's like going into that, it's like there was a chance like he could have responded a lot differently. And I was just like, that is incredible because it's oh my goodness. I don't know if I could have done that, tell a guy to his face. Yeah, all these things are saying you're projecting these, right? Knowing he has a gun on him. Incredible. And also speaking of the Alex Jones connection, there recently was an interview with him in NPR. And the person interviewing him was like, how do you feel like you've elevated Alex Jones' position or, have made a spectacle? Yeah. And he's like, I spoke to some parents who've lost their children at Sandy Hook, and I've asked them how do they feel about these scenes, me including these scenes. And the ones that he's spoken to have been like very okay with it. They were like, yeah, I want you to show this guy as he is, like this is that's Alex Jones, So yeah, he's just I don't know. I like him.
Alex Jones?
Yeah.
No.
No, not Alex Jones. I was about to say, we might have to.
I was wondering why you had
man.
that T-shirt on. Info.
I was like, we might
No,
have to go back down to two hosts, and might just be.
I've been outed. Jig is up.
Somebody make a audio clip
Oh.
of that.
I
scene
can never
part
run
right
for
there.
office.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, I think it's just that Andrew's able to, like you mentioned, he just goes there and he listens, and pretty much that's how he gets accepted into or not accepted, but that's how he gets access to these groups or these people. He just goes there, with his microphone and lets them talk.
Do you think he could have done this 20 years ago? Or like 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Do you think he still could have gotten the access that he's gotten?
I think so. It's just that, with the internet now, it makes things more readily available. But I believe he could have done it. I mean, there's reporters who have done this type of work in the past. It's nothing new. It's just that, when a guy like, Jones gets on there and says, well, he dumbs things down for folks, he puts it in. What are you're insulting your audience right there?
Yeah,
but that's going on for ages. That's gone on.
Though. Like that's even Trump.
Yeah,
did
Trump
that,
did that,
like,
but it even goes back to you remember the movie Facing the Crowd, right? Yeah. You haven't seen it.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen that one.
I've
You
seen
should
that. That's
see
a great.
You should see it. This is 1957.
Everybody that.
And it's just. I think it's on HBO Max. It might be. It should be.
It might be. I remember
on the TMC hub. Turn the TCM hub. Right?
Okay.
Pretty much go. If you want a good example of what we're going through, watch that movie.
Yep.
Of course, he insulted the people, and they turned against him.
Yeah. Exactly. The whole stage, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's
pretty much this.
Wow, they went against him.
I think that's the. Yeah, I think that's the thing though. Why that doesn't really have an impact is because these people. I think part of them feels that we don't know a lot of stuff. We're not. They know that they don't know any of these situations. They're not like an expert in these fields. They don't even know basics on this stuff. So when somebody's dumbing it down for them. And says you do it. Listen to me. I know this. I'm gonna simplify it for you. They're just like, okay.
Yeah. The Democrats are eating babies. Come on,
right?
That's, you're really going down.
That's stupid. Obviously,
it's like at what point does quote unquote simplifying it? You're lying. You're misleading. You're just telling falsehoods that
at
could
some point
easily be understood, but they're just incorrect. I don't know.
And I think
it's incredible how honest he was about it.
Oh, sorry. I think the weird part is also watching this, and I mean even some of the other, is just they get some of the aspect. Like they'll be on points when it's like, there's issues with our government, there's issues with the way it's run, but they go for completely different conclusion, how to fix that or what's causing it,
Well,
it's just like you almost have it.
Well, there's also a section where he kind of just reveals, whether they're the leader of the Proud Boys or Alex Jones, they make their money just selling useless products to people who are fans of them.
Not everything that Alex Jones sells.
I wasn't
is
talking
useless.
about those people. I knew those people are
true.
just like
supplements and.
He gets into a lot of.
But I was mainly talking about the people that listen to these people. They're on this same wavelength that a lot of people are on. I think right now where there's systemic issues in the government that need to be affected. It's hurting the working man. It's hurting the common people. While
but where they see, I know
people with a lot more access and resources are making a lot of money off of that. But somehow they go for the wrong thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's that whole attitude. There's the one writer who always, for years, he's talked about how people vote against their best interest. This is before things got to the point where it's at now. but you saw about these people in some of these Midwestern states going for these Republican candidates who were actually taking the axe to a lot of the things that they really cared about. But the things that they emphasized were things that kind of created this great divide.
Yeah. I mean,
people jumped on board those things.
It's like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The median voter problem.
Well, I was going to say, it's like that, that's been, I think, an issue or a thing that's been for years going on. I mean, look, Lyndon Johnson said, if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than, the wealthiest black man, that, he'll empty his pockets.
Sure.
That's what's going on. That's been going on I think.
Damn, LBJ said that. I mean, he did. He was out of Texas, so.
Yeah.
LBJ was, he was a segregationist early on.
That's right.
It took a while for him to come around.
Right.
And some folks would say he never came around, but you have to admit that he did.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that once he signed those legislations, it was going to be a big. He said we've essentially lost the South.
Yeah, there's no going back. Yeah.
We've lost the South.
Yeah.
Democratic Party's lost that, and they did. Most of those leading politicians went over to the Republican Party.
Yeah, I would say something similar happened with January 6th. You had a lot of the business community. They just couldn't stand by the Republicans because if all they're preaching is law and order, and they're the party of ripping everything up. But
right.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, it was Antifa disguised as MAGA.
Forgive me. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, come on. What the hell?
The facts are, it was all hoax.
You sound like Gilton. You sound like you eating some babies. You been eating babies in Democrat run.
You can't prove that.
I knew
you can't prove that. You don't have any evidence.
Dad, go through his fridge. Go through his freezer right now.
Well, I did see a baby.
I knew you worked for the.
No, that's for decoration. It's an art project.
What you're trying to get like these trains to run? Where are these trains gonna go?
No.
To like concentration camps or something? Jeez.
No, not the trains. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the Democrats are just
the liberal.
The reason why the borders, they want all these immigrants to come in so they can vote Democratic. They come in and automatically they have the right to vote.
They give them a pass and say, "Here, vote Democrat." Here's who you're voting for. All Democrats. There you go.
Oh my God.
Welcome to. You can only be an American citizen if you vote for Democrat.
The funniest thing about that is that the majority of families who do successfully immigrate to the U.S. after one generation, they vote consistently Republican. Yeah.
Well, look, when a lot of people don't. Reagan was the first guy who granted general amnesty. And I remember working with a lot of Mexican folks, and they voted Republican because they saw Reagan. Hey, Reagan gave us amnesty. He let us.
Yeah.
And so they voted. Sometimes the first generation might vote Republican, but then after a while they say, "Hey, wait a minute, these guys aren't so good." And start voting Democrat.
Yeah.
But I ran into people that thought Reagan was great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a show on Hulu, and they kind of poke fun at that because the mother is going on and on about Reagan, because he got her amnesty, and the son's like, but he was a Republican, Mom. He gave me amnesty. I mean, they do a lot better, but I can't remember the name of that show, but it's a funny show.
Wow. I mean, it's a similar, discussion in the black community. You got black people trying to, spending every breath of their lives justifying, why Donald Trump is the best president for us, but it's.
Oh man, he did the best for black people.
They'll say stuff like, well, Trump did something for HBCUs, but Barack Obama didn't. It's like, okay, man, okay, yeah. Trump. Still,
dude, I think it was funny when me and you were talking, Dad, and you were telling me about this guy that felt that I guess he felt that like integration was or segregation was good, right?
What's what?
He was a black guy that integration was bad.
The desegregation
He
of
was like-
schools. I think Thomas Sowell.
Des- Right, but
Because he felt.
but he mentioned something about how, but he was also a Trump
Oh,
supporter,
yeah.
and I remember thinking, what the hell? Like those things to go, don't seem to go hand
Thomas
in hand.
Sowell.
Like those ideologies.
He's he's weird. I mean, he's a much older guy. I don't even know if he's still alive. But yeah, some of these guys. I mean, they were friends with Rush Limbaugh, who I consider one of the worst racists around. You know, they palled around with him, would sit in on his radio show. These guys essentially, I think they just got these jobs because the powers that be of those particular things say, hey, we can have them kick black folks in the nuts.
Yeah.
You know,
Just elevate
Right.
them. You
Yeah.
know?
It's like, hey,
Yeah.
look.
And it's
and Sowell,
See,
Sowell
it's
had a
pretty
lot
much
of
like
good
the saying,
ideas.
like, I can't be racist. I have a black friend,
Yeah.
Yeah,
except for
yeah,
politics.
right.
man. Yeah, you're talking about
It's like, see, they say
a
it
Medal
too.
of Freedom winner there.
Yeah. It's like, see, it can't be racist because they say
Yeah.
it too. It's just like, oh,
Yeah. And,
that's. I think that's pretty much what it is.
mhm.
So, what was your takeaway from this documentary?
This place rules.
It sure do.
This place was
It sure do.
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, just like that guy said, this, there is no end to this, man. This is gonna be a constant thing for the next however
Sure.
many years.
Sure.
hmm
You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be the Roaring Twenties.
Well,
Don't put that on
The
us.
next, I mean, look, dude, it's already.
well,
on
so,
it.
you know,
We're on for
someone
different reasons,
said I was
obviously.
reading something, and they were talking about actually, politics is more tame. Other than the January 6th kerfuffle, politics now is more tame than it was in the past.
Is that
I
that
would agree.
article that
I would
I
absolutely
shared?
I don't know because it might have been. I'm not sure.
Because we had talked about that article about how I think it was from Politico or from the Atlantic. It was talking about how this period in
Yeah.
time isn't really unprecedented.
Right.
It was
Oh,
going
yes,
back
that's
to, I
right.
think-
You're right. That's the article.
Yeah,
right.
they looked right after the right after the Civil War in
Yeah.
America, and how it was just pretty. It was
Yeah.
bad. Like politicians were getting shot. All
I was gonna
left and
say,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and the political
Yeah.
parties would hold. They would hold
But it
those
was also-
banner march. You talk about the guys who down there in South Carolina with the torches and stuff. But those were political parties would do that. I mean, they'd have gangs coming
Yeah.
out beating up people.
Yeah.
And that's
Right. But it was also interesting because they mentioned, I think, in the article that was also a period of time where you saw one of the most political
Yes, they
engagement
did.
from like the
right,
masses.
right.
So it's kind of interesting. I think one of the
The
things
turnouts were
that they
higher in
mentioned
those
was
days than they are.
Mm.
Much
Right.
higher.
And one of the points in the article, I think, was asking is like, can we bring some semblance of, I guess, calm to political
Discourse. Yeah.
discourse or to our politics without losing that engagement?
Sure.
Like, is that
Mhm.
possible?
hmm
That was the point. Thank you.
It's a good
Yeah,
question.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Thank you, because you have a better memory than me, but you brought that back.
Yeah, no, I just I forget where I found that. I mean, I think I was browsing news articles and that
Right.
came up. I was like, yeah, this is pretty interesting. But it is an interesting thought. Like, is that something that is actually possible? Like, can it get calmer without losing that type of momentum
Sure.
that might be the reason why we're seeing an increase in engagement?
In
now?
my I think growing up, a big shift happened where suddenly you realize, oh my goodness, like these policies that are being put out, at least by my generation, all of a sudden these policies that are being put out
I would
actually result in physical harm to thousands of people, whether they're citizens or not. And it's suddenly like, how can I just go home and hang up my uniform and go on with my day? How can I smile at the opposition when they're more than happy enact increasing. It's like how could I look at the person who's signs off on a highway bill that runs through a community and displaces hundreds of families? Like it's maybe at a certain point it was okay to do that because there was a level of separation possibly. But it just feels like nowadays it's like the thing that I hear the most is like, how could I ever be friends with the other side if they're more than happy to, cause harm to the people I care about? And the flip side is the other side's like, oh, you're doing the same thing to me. But it's I don't know if you could really make that argument. It does seem one-sided. And I think that's probably the biggest reason for this polarization, because there's one side that wants to see everyone unhappy, and there's another side that's just would like that not to happen.
But see, their leaders are telling them that if these things are accomplished, you're going to be displaced. Yeah. You're going to lose your rights. Right. Well, you're going to lose this. You're going to lose that.
Yeah. Yeah. Taking what the opposition is saying and using it for their own base, but it's false. Yeah. And I feel like that's where a lot of the polarization recently has happened.
No, I would agree. I think there was I read, or I forget now where, but it was kind of a critiquing that, like you said, that idea of like you looking across being that that shaking hands or smiling at the opposition, even though they're doing something heinous, like say, and that there is that separation. If you're somebody, if you're not black or not rich, you're not, or not poor. I mean, you're not gonna have that. It's gonna be easier for you to be able to kind of have that separation of, okay, we're both have a same goal. Yeah. Right. But if you're somebody that's at the on the opposite end of these policies, something like you mentioned, a highway going through and separating families, or potentially something like ecological or pollution that can affect people that are black and brown or people that are poor. It's like, how are you gonna sit there and say, yeah, this person is on the same side as me where I'm getting poisoned, but they don't.
It's like, imagine telling Frederick Douglass, like, sorry, you guys, you lost the election. That's how it goes. That's democracy. Like after, that's,
or like right after Reconstruction.
Exactly.
Ended. Yeah. Like, hey, sorry, we needed to keep the white Southerners happy, so you guys have to.
Well, they didn't even say sorry.
I don't remember saying sorry.
They didn't say sorry, but I mean, imagine.
I know.
That reminds me of the Simpsons, where Milhouse's dad gets fired, and he's like, "Oh, so you're just gonna tell me good luck and send me out the door?" And his boss is like, "I don't remember saying good luck." That's exactly what it reminds me of.
And that's pretty much what it was.
I don't remember saying
sorry. I mean, it's kind of hard to have that. If both sides are, it's kind of hard to have that. If one side is does not see or does not care about what happens to people on one side, and the other side is kind of wants to make it so that there's less damage is done.
And there's this contradiction too, which is so fascinating, which is like, on one side, this is crucial to a peaceful transition of power, which is like, the bedrock of our entire society, I'd argue. And the flip side of that is like, yes, but the majority of like the policies that, are favored by Americans versus the ones that are the least favored, they all have an equal chance of getting passed through all houses of Congress. Like it was a Princeton peer-reviewed paper that looked at all legislation that has ever been suggested or passed by the Senate and the House of Representatives in the executive branch. And it's chalks up to, there's a 30% chance, whether we're all in favor of it or none of us are in favor of it, there's a 30% chance. So it's like, on one end, it's like, we can't let these awful people do awful things. And on the other end, it's like the majority of us don't want awful people to do awful things, but there's a 30% chance they succeed anyway. So it's I don't know. It's interesting. This definitely doesn't get covered in This Place Rules, but there's some tidbits there that I think it hits on.
Yeah, I think if you followed Andrew to like some of his other works, and also kind of, I guess if you listen to some of the interviews he does with other people, you can kind of tease that out.
Yeah, I think so.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be so. Dad, what do you feel? Since I feel like you're a pretty well-read political guy.
Well, I mean, how do I feel about what? So they ask me now.
I mean, I think the discussion we just had about,
I told you, I thought that was a very enlightening movie. I didn't really.
I mean, yeah.
Get into anything that we didn't know before. But
well, I think for us, yeah, because we follow it very closely.
Well, I don't know how very closely, but we're aware of it.
Not very closely, obviously, but we're aware of it. I would say some people might not be aware.
They don't read as much, go into this, read about these things as we might do. So I don't know. Our friend has a date coming, so I'm not sure what time. He's looking at his watch. We're getting close to 7:00 now.
6 o'clock.
6:56.
7 o'clock, right?
So I mean, we have. Do we want to wrap this up? Any prognosis? Any future references? Anything you might have seen in the interim? Just a quick note, or music, or a book, or anything.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about, since I heard you guys talking about books also, I mean, we can talk about things we watched and things we read. For me, I just watched Moonlight yesterday. So that was great. That was a great movie. Rented it out of the library, or I guess took it on loan out the library. But yeah, it's just a really beautiful film. The visuals are amazing. The characters and the story is just very nice. I'm not want to get too much away.
Well, I think it's a very old movie now. I don't think you're giving too much.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but go ahead, go crazy. I haven't seen it.
Okay. And I know there's a couple of people that probably haven't seen it either that are listening to this, but yeah, it's definitely check it out.
Where can I stream that? Because I feel like
it should,
I don't know. It was on one of the
you can also take it from the library.
You got a library card. The videos available at the library.
That's probably the best bet.
I'm sure it might be on one of these serves. I know his sec film after that, If Beale Street Could Talk, is available on Netflix, I believe.
I thought Moonlight was on Netflix.
It was.
I think it was,
but I don't think it's on there now.
I should have.
I remember I went. Yeah, I was in the same predicament. I was just like, okay, cool, I'm gonna watch it, and then it wasn't on Netflix. But yeah, and then for I guess what I'm reading right now, it's this book called Privacy is Power. So it's pretty much detailing just why privacy is important, especially in an internet age with all this data being kind of sucked up, personal data that's out there, and why we should be a bit more cognizant of, one, what we put out on the internet, two, what we want to, what these companies are kind of using the data for, and how that can potentially impact, society. And so I would definly recommend that book. Because I know I get into talk sometimes with people, and it's just like, yeah, what's the big idea? It's like, well, actually, it's really important. Why this why we should care about privacy, and to go off of I guess the same social issues they mentioned about what happened with Cambridge Analytica, and the Facebook fiasco. I have a book on that too that I have to read at some point, but yeah.
Cool.
Well, right now I'm reading Half American for the book club, story of African Americans in World War II and the days leading up to World War II. And a book of short stories by George Saunders called Liberation Day. And also a book which is kind of reading some of the essays in this book by... I hesitate to say that they're all black conservatives, but they're kind of replying to the 1619 Project by saying that they feel that it's built on falsehoods. The 1619 Project. So some of the people, like Clarence Page, who's a columnist for the Tribune, I wouldn't call him a conservative. He's probably a moderate. But John McWhorter, a lot of, some of them are just, have some good points. I've kind of taking it piecemeal as I go along. So, watch it tonight. I'm going to try and watch. I just found out this is on Netflix. It's a movie based on a play by one of my favorite African playwrights called the King Ellison Oba, The King's Horseman. It's based on Wole Soyinka's play Death of the King's Horseman, so Death and the King's Horseman, which was produced here at the Goodmans back in the mid '80s, I believe. And Soyinka just studied some of his plays when I was in college. Read some of his books since then. He's a great dramatist. One of the leading he won the Nobel Prize for literature.
Holy shit!
So he's a great writer. Got to check this out tonight.
Wow.
And that's that. Oh, watch the series also on Netflix. Kind of interesting. The Recruit. It's about this guy who works in the CIA lawyers department. I forgot exactly what they call it, but how they get involved in some stuff that's beyond and above what he should be involved in. It's kind of humorous, also kind of serious at points in the story. That's that.
I'm also reading Half American. I've just started that one, but I'm probably 30 to 40% through this book called The Dope. It's a kind of a history of the drug trade in Mexico, starting with I think it goes back to the 1800s and it goes all the way up until the modern day. I think it came out maybe 2 years ago. So right now I'm in the section that's going through the 1940s, and it's they're still shipping opium from Sinaloa, and what's interesting to me is first the strategies that the government starts doing initially. One of them being that they set up clinics for maybe 6 months, where they provide a free dose to anyone who comes up, a free dose of heroin. In the second dose, you have to show up for a NA meeting, like therapy, like a rehab clinic. You have to have a session of that before your second dose. And it's super popular. All the people who are lined up are suddenly I can afford to get high. I don't have to go rob and steal. I can actually have a job. I can visit my family. And this goes 6 months until World War I starts, and there's suddenly World War II starts, and there's a huge shortage of painkillers, and the U.S. is also leaning on them, so they had to stop it. But it's just like a crazy idea. Another thing that stood out to me is the lack of violence early on. Really, the only violence took place when the state stepped in and was like, okay, you need to start paying us taxes, or we're going to start killing people. But it's before that, if you think about it, it makes sense, because if everyone's growing it, you need a lot of cooperation in growing it, getting it from point A to point B. No one really has a big enough market share to get the leg up on someone else, so you have to just collaborate with the other person. It's only when an outside party that has the sufficient amount of force that they can actually attempt to take control of all of it, and that's what the state did. Which is it's what's interesting to me about this is the more I read of it, the more nuanced the whole picture becomes. So that's probably my very interesting book. Yeah, I would agree. So yeah, no new shows. I'm showing the data I have later today. I'm showing them Andor, which they're not big into Star Wars, but they're really liking this, which I'm more than happy to cater to.
Cool, man. Well, that sounds fun. All of it. All right. Well, thank you all for coming in to tune in and listen.
Absolutely.
We'll catch you next
All
time,
right.
I guess.
Thanks a lot, son, for bringing us
All right.
together for this informal chat one more time.
Absolutely.
The first one of the 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we'll be a little more regular.
The Rock anchoring in the Blue Room podcast.
Hey, man, I mean, if you guys want to go, if I'm unavailable for like a week, a time to record, feel free to record
Improvise.
one, since you guys have a mic over there now.
Yeah,
You know.
we're just gonna be making fun of you the entire episode. You know.
Cool. Remember, I do have access to all these sites, so maybe rethink about
You're gonna have a hard time editing it out when it's full of when it's.
That's all right, dude. I mean, I can just be like, oh well, we need to upload. I mean, I have the password.
I have the death sentence on 12 systems.
Maybe double thinking.
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
Good night. I'm calling. Be good.
See you later.
All right, good night, guys. See you later. Signing out.